you know, how Miles was, you know, can't get too much conversation out of Miles. As you know, I finally met him, you know, years later, you know.
So you didn't meet him back when you were a kid, but you met him once you were an established musician?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
What a cool thing for you, huh? Because I know what you mean. He's a heavy cat. You're just kind of just grateful to interact with him a little bit.
Yeah, that was heavy, yeah.
Right, yeah, he's a monster. Another guy who was influential on you, he probably doesn't get much credit, but you gave him credit, and so I applaud you for doing that. Dick Griffey made a critical suggestion for your band. You were on a tour opening for the Jacksons, and I read that you know, it was really his words that made it. It was a pivotal move. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, at that time, Dick said, you know, you guys, what you need to do is get a lead singer, you know, because we're out with the Jackson 5 at the time, and at that time you had Earth, Wind and Fire with Maurice and Philip Bailey, and Lionel Richie was, you know.
You're painting a picture of a lot of vocals.
Yeah, of the Commodores. So we said, you know what, that might be the way to go, because it was like the end of the 70s going into the 80s, and our career we're just kind of making our next move, because you know, they had this whole anti-disco thing and anti-dance thing, and so we're trying to figure out what would be our next move. Say, hey, maybe it's time for us to get a lead singer, and that's when we got James J.T. Taylor, and we came up with our first big record, Ladies Night, and then of course Ladies Night, Too Hot. We had 2 big hits off of that one, and then the next record was Celebration on the next album.
You give Dick the credit, though, for it was really you really do. That was his call, and if not for that suggestion, it may not have happened.
That could possibly be, you know, yeah.
You learned to play guitar by ear?
Yeah, and listen, by ear.
Is that so? Your musical indoctrination was totally self-taught, or is there a person we can give credit to also with the instrument?
Well, it was self-taught, but I mean, we all were young. Our guitarist, the late Charles Smith, also used to show me different little things, you know, especially when we got involved with the whole Soul Town thing. And then mainly just listening to records and playing together, because our music, well, at that time, we would have to learn the songs for the various artists that was singing the Motown hits. So we learn that bass line to those different songs, but then also being that it helped us to create what became the Kool Gang sound too.
So it served 2 purposes really there.
Excuse me?
It's a sort of like 2 purposes really.
Yeah, right.
When you think about the kind of, when you learned from those cats, we mentioned the Jackson 5, you know, Michael, upon his passing, he already was this guy, the king of pop. He was really an important cat, but I think his musical, he was like James Brown Jr. in so many ways, and after he died, many people realized what he really was. When you got to do that tour, or other times, did you ever have any meaningful experiences with him? Was he a Kool and the Gang fan?
Yes, he was, but my younger brother spent more time with Michael. I mean, he used to stay at the house, and he was, one time, I guess, Joe Jackson wanted him to date LaToya, so all that was kind of going on, my brother Amir, you know. And Michael would come, he came to one of our concerts at Radio City, and he was dressed up like Abe Lincoln. He had this big Quaker hat on and a big beard, sitting in the audience, you know. We kind of knew it was him, no one else did. Then he came backstage. I think he was with his date down there, was Tatum O'Neal.
That would have made sense around that era.
Yeah, so, you know, it was cool, you know. So Michael was a fan in his own kind of a way, you know.
Were there other people that it made a big difference in your life when they gave you acknowledgement along the way? It doesn't even have to be a celebrity. It can be people like we were describing who were close around your family, but that it meant a lot to you when they said, yeah, cool, I'm really impressed with what you've done with your life.
Well, I mean, in the early days, we were with the Queen Booking Agency in New York, and they represented Sammy Davis Jr., and Sammy would give us a lot of inspiration. Matter of fact, the time that we did Johnny Carson was that week when Sammy Davis Jr. hosted that week, and we did the Johnny Carson show. So people like Sammy Davis Jr., people like Quincy Jones always say, you know, you guys, you know, young musician that's very creative in what we were doing, you know. So,
you ever get to meet the Prez?
Prince?
The president. I hear he's a huge Earth, Wind, and Fire fan. We're actually, you know, he's from our home. He's like a homeboy where we're in Honolulu.
I haven't met the president yet, you know, but we did something, and I think he was doing something at the time for the veterans. We played in front of the right across from the White House for the Veterans Day.
Okay, right. So there was a significant gig, basically.
Yeah.
And are there other? That's a great. I was going to ask you. Are there places that you've played in? A lot of places you've gotten to play short sets where you're playing with other bands. You've headlined longer jams. You've played outside of the United States to different kinds of crowds, as you've described, where on weird festivals. Are there gigs that you hold higher, or that you have very special memories attached to throughout this long history of what has been Kool and the Gang?
Well, I mean, there's been a few. One gig we did in London at the Wembley Stadium. It was a big summer festival with Elton John and some of the top groups at that time in England was all on that show with us, and there was about 100,000 there. Another show in Kenya we did for World AIDS recognition in front of the Ministry of Health. We had over 500,000 people there.
500,000 people. Is that your biggest crowd ever?
Biggest crowd, yeah. And right before that was another big crowd was St. Louis doing 4th of July week and celebration around the Ark. They do a big festival there.
So all these are ones you hold as like maybe your most treasured?
Yeah, I would say
anything with your family, you know, anything where somebody was there, maybe important who showed up, or just a venue other than those? Those sound great, though. I can't imagine the 500,000 people. I'm still sort of visual.
Those was the spot. That one, there was another one we did in Nigeria for the children of Africa. It was right after Nelson Mandela had been released. It was this big concert that we all organized to go to Nigeria and do an awareness concert for the children of Africa in Nigeria, so we got the blessings of Nelson Mandela at the time. That was another memorable time. And
he had personal interaction with him?
No, not directly, but I mean, in terms of, he sent in a tape saying, "Hey, well, I'm thanking you guys for, you know, supporting this." More with Winnie Mandela, because she and Miriam Makeba, they kind of pushed that to happen. They really got behind that.
As we wrap this up, I'm talking to you ahead of your next Van Halen date. It's going to be tonight, Vancouver. The tour will end. Kimani Marley takes over. Do you know that? That's the next opening act.
That's what I heard. I think he had Kimani, when they toured about, what, 5 or 6 years ago, 7 years ago?
That's even less. I mean, and I've seen him. I've interviewed him. Done just the same thing with him, and he's been to Hawaii. Reggae's big in Hawaii. It's so wild to think of. This tour has not one but two bands that really don't fit the rock genre at all. It makes David Lee Roth, you called him a hero one time, and you can tell I love this music too, so obviously, you know, I share that with you. Have you gotten to have any other personal interactions with him that have maybe further defined your relationship and made you realize, man, this is one soulful brother over here?
Well, not yet. I mean, the time that we spent when we were out there rehearsing, we had a little bit more one-on-one time. But out here, you know, everybody's moving, doing their thing. He's coming in, we're going out. Every night he said, "Hey, man," he holler at us, say, "What's up? What's going on?" You know, that kind of a thing. But Eddie and Alex we see a lot because they do a long sound check. So normally, like today, we get in there around 4 o'clock. They're still sound checking until about 5:30. Then we get a chance to get a little quick sound check, you know. And I run into Woofy, you know, catering, you know, so that kind of a thing, you know.
That's got. I mean, as a bass player, have you talked bass stuff with him?
Nah, I mean, we talked. I told him, you know, that he's to be so young, a great bassist, and also to play with his father, one of the top guitarists in the world, and also to.
Is that you?
Yeah. Break. Keep up. That you know, the speed that that Eddie does, and Woofy is right there with him, you know.
So you're impressed by his playing?
Yeah.
And he's a say again?
I mean, to be just 21 years old, I mean, he's doing his thing.
No, he's a very impressive dude, and I was just curious what you thought of him, because there's when you see a show like this, it is history making, and it's important to sort of, I've never seen anything like it my whole life, and you can tell when you tell anyone you're going, I'm going to see Kool and the Gang and Van Halen, people are like, you're going to see, how is that on one bill? So as the tour has come to almost, you have what, 20 dates left? Is that what you have, something like that?
Yeah, roughly. Well, I think what's happening now that when we spoke back, in February. And we first got out there, and the different fans or people twittering or whatever on the internet was saying that's an unlikely pairing, and and now that they've seen the show, it appears to be that they're texting and twittering to other people in the next town, If you think about drinking your beer before Kool and the Gang comes on, you're gonna miss something. You're gonna miss a good show. But now you can see it now. More people are coming a little earlier. They're drinking that beer a little quicker.
We noticed that because when you went on, the place was pretty full in Tacoma.
Yeah. So it's really been working out.
It's organic. I love that. It's word of mouth, bro. It's so grassroots. The whole thing you just described.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's what's been going on. Of course, we got the internet now, but it's spreading around.
Wow, it's cool. It's really happening. Well, and in a relationship, you feel like there is a chance because of maybe interacting with Alex and Eddie, or is it just strictly an agent thing that there is going to be a potential for more dates after the Kimani thing?
It could be, yeah.
You do really think so?
Well, I mean, because our schedule got tied up this summer, they asked us to do a second leg, but we couldn't.
So it was they asked for.
Couldn't get out of it,
They asked for it.
Yeah, they asked us about the second leg. But, we had obligations. But, I mean, they're also talking about maybe joining them in Europe. And we spend a lot of time in Europe, and it could be Asia, it could be China. Who knows where it's going to go? But right now, it's the United States.
And Kool doesn't want to reveal it, but he's been lobbying for Hawaii hard too, haven't you, Kool?
We gotta go to Hawaii.
I mean, you've been working hard on that, right?
Absolutely. I love Hawaii.
He's in fact heading for a meeting about Hawaii coming up now, as I understand.
We got to get to Hawaii.
Wouldn't that be cool?
With Van Halen.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be great, man.
And last time you were there was what?
Should I call Diamond Dave?
We work it in. I think he would like it. Van Halen's big out there too. So, hey, was this okay? Did you have a fun time for 20 minutes?
Yeah. It's been great. It's been great.
I really appreciate it, and I just want to let you know it's a special show. I am disappointed there weren't extra large shirts, my brother, because there's only small and mediums. I'm hoping tonight. Tell me there's going to be some XLs if I get there early.
I got to talk to the Merc guys about that.
So two things: Hawaii shirts. I'm like loading them up.
Yeah, I just saw one. I'm gonna see him in about an hour too.
Because we were
XXL, because I'm gonna picked up a couple of pounds myself over the years.
I got him one of these nice Hawaii Public Radio shirts from our latest pledge drive, and we're member supported, so it means a lot. You would take the time. I sort of look at this as like a contribution to the station by doing that. So a big mahalo to you, brother, and I hope that we can reconvene in Hawaii in the future.
Okay, well, thank you.